Okay, welcome to a deep dive. Someone shared some really interesting material with us, and today we're going to jump right in. We're focusing on something super practical, really, for anyone learning English. You know, those common little mistakes, the ones that tend to pop up right around that intermediate level. So our goal here is pretty straightforward. We want to take the source material, pull out the key insights about these specific errors, and figure out not just what they are, but importantly, how to fix them. And we use some really relatable examples straight from the material itself. Think of it like navigating those tricky spots with a bit of a shortcut. Okay, so the source kicks off with the story. It probably sounds familiar to, well, quite a few learners out there. Imagine Joao. He's an intermediate student, working hard at his English. Then, bam, surprise interview for a job at an international company. So he's got the skills, feels pretty decent about his English, maybe a little nervous, sure, but basically ready. Interviewer asks the classic, "Tell me about yourself." And Joao, wanting to make a good impression, he responds with what feels natural to him. He says,
I have 30 years. I'm thinking to work with marketing. I didn't went to college, but I study now. He sees the recruiter, smile politely, make some notes. And Joao leaves feeling pretty good, like nailed it. But, as the source suggests, maybe a few things didn't quite land as smoothly as he thought.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about errors like Zhao's is understanding why they're so common at this stage. This material really points out that often it's because learners are, well, leaning on the grammar rules of their first language, which, judging by these specific examples, seems especially relevant if your native language might be, say, Portuguese, with that terror verb. Or sometimes it's just a natural part of the learning curve, as you start trying to build more complex sentences. These aren't failures at all. They're actually signals you're pushing yourself, moving beyond simple stuff, but they just need a little fine-tuning, for accuracy, and just to sound a bit more natural in English. And that's exactly what we'll look at today.
Okay, perfect. Let's dig into this then. Using Zhao's answer as our guide, let's pull out those three main errors the material highlights.
Right. So the first one, straight from Zhao's opening, using have for age, she said, I have 30 years.
Right.
But as the source stresses, the correct way in English is, I'm 30 years old, or just I am 30. And the reason it's so common, like we said, is often that direct translation habit. In languages like Portuguese, you use a verb like ter, to have, for age. But English uses to be, always am, is, or are. The source has this great little anecdote to make it stick. Maria, apparently one of Zhao's colleagues, she kept saying, I have 25, until this British tourist very kindly, but also, a bit humorously told her, you're not carrying your age like a backpack.
That's brilliant. I love that analogy. You're not carrying it like luggage. You are that age. So I am 30 years old. Always to be.
Got it.
Okay. What's the next tricky spot from Zhao's answer?
All right, the second error involves the structure you use after the verb think, specifically when talking about considerations or plans. Zhao said, I'm thinking to work with marketing. The correction, according to the source material, is I'm thinking about working with marketing.
Okay. Yeah. About working.
Exactly. The material explains that after think about, when you're considering something, we usually need the gerund form. That's the verb ending in ing. Now, think to does exist, but it's different. It usually means like remembering to do something. Oh, I thought to bring an umbrella.
Right, like a sudden realization or remembering.
Precisely. So the distinction is pretty important for clearly expressing if you're planning or just remembering. And yep, there's another little story in the source for this one too.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so Pedro, he's on an exchange trip, wants to tell his host family he's considering buying a car. He says, I'm thinking to buy a car. And the host family, understanding the nuance he missed, apparently replied, quite humorously, we're thinking about teaching you some grammar.
Okay, another good one from the source. Really drives the point home, doesn't it? So, for plans, considerations, it's thinking about verbing, thinking about traveling, thinking about changing jobs. Makes sense. Okay, what's the last error from Zhao we need to unpack?
The third common error, and this is a big one for past tense, is the verb form after did or didn't. Zhao's sentence was, I didn't went to college.
Yeah. I hear that one sometimes.
It's very common. The correct form is, I didn't go to college.
Right.
So the why here, as the source explains, is about how we use that auxiliary verb did. It's a helper verb. When you use did or didn't to make questions or negatives in the simple past, the main verb that comes after it just goes back to its basic form, the infinitive without to.
Okay.
Because the did or didn't already carries the past tense meaning. You don't need it on the main verb to.
So the did does the heavy lifting for the past tense.
Exactly. And the source gives us one more anecdote. Anna tells her friends, I didn't went to the museum. And her American friend jokingly says, next time go and take your grammar too.
Okay, got it. So did or didn't handles the past. The main verb chills out in its base form. Didn't go, didn't see, didn't eat. That actually simplifies things when you think about it.
It does, once it clicks. Now, just to help make these stick, the material suggests running through them quickly, like a mini practice.
Good idea.
Ready? Think about the errors we just covered. I'll give you a phrase like the ones from the source. You mentally correct it.
Okay, shoot.
First one. I have 22 years. What should that be? Right? I am 22 years old. Or just, I am 22.
Got it. Okay, next one. Thinking about think. What about,
I'm thinking to travel.
that needs the about and the ing. I'm thinking about traveling.
Perfect. And the last one, using didn't. If someone says, I didn't saw the movie, should be, I didn't see the movie. Base form.
Base form. See,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, and practicing these, maybe even saying them out loud with your own examples, just like the source suggests, is really key to making them feel automatic when you speak.
Definitely. Practice makes perfect, or at least more natural. So, okay, let's recap. We've taken this deep dive into the source material, pulled out 3 really common intermediate errors. Let's just quickly list them again based on what we found.
Sure. 1, for age, use am, is, or are, the verb to be, not have.
Right.
2, after think about for plans or considerations, use the verb plus ing,
Yeah.
the gerund.
Thinking about doing.
Yep. And 3, with did or didn't for past simple negatives or questions, the main verb stays in its simple base form.
Didn't go, didn't see. Okay. These might seem like, small grammatical points, but as we saw with Xiao's interview story, getting them right can genuinely make a difference. It helps you sound more natural, more confident, and just be understood more clearly, especially in those situations where maybe the stakes feel a bit higher, like an interview or an important meeting.
Absolutely. And the source offers a really great final tip for learners at this stage.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically pay attention. When you're listening or reading and you hear an expression that sounds a bit odd or different from how you might translate it directly from your own language, make a note of that little difference. That's often where a key English nuance lies.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Notice the gaps.
Exactly. Notice the gaps. And then practice using the correct forms. Use them in sentences about your own day, your own plans. Make it real for you. And, don't be afraid to use tools. Language apps, even AI like ChatGPT, can be great for checking sentences you're unsure about. It's all part of that refinement process.
Yeah, it's about continuous learning, isn't it? Noticing, adjusting, practicing.
For sure. Learning a language, it's always this cycle, right?
Yeah.
You build something, you test it out in the real world, and then you refine the details based on feedback or just noticing patterns. Catching and correcting errors like these isn't a sign you're failing. Honestly, it's proof you're actively engaging. You're listening, you're thinking about the structure, you're wrestling with the nuances. It shows you're really progressing.
That's a great way to look at it. And finding and fixing even just 1 or 2 of these patterns you might be using incorrectly, that can give your confidence a massive boost.
It really can. Which actually brings up an interesting question to ponder. As you keep learning, how many other little grammatical points, maybe things you haven't even noticed yet, might be subtly shifting the meaning of what you're trying to say in English? Language is just full of these fascinating little details, isn't it? All waiting to be noticed and mastered.
Definitely something to think about as you continue your English journey. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. We really hope it was valuable for you.